Right guys, really exciting day today. We're going to go and pull my old 51 fleet line out of the chicken shed down the back. It's been shoved in there for about 3 years, and we've got this silly idea that we're going to build a obnoxious street car, ship it to America and run drag week next year. Haven't seen it for a while, so it's going to be exciting to drag her out and have a look and see what she see where she is. Car on the street many years ago, just with a aspirated big block in it, turbo 400, 9-inch, lots of fun. Now we think she needs a lot more power. Hook her up, drag her out, we'll take her around to the shop, and then we'll give you guys a walk through and maybe give her a bit of a bath and see what she's like. The story behind this car is one of my clients owned this and he stripped it down for a nut and bolt restoration, and then he found one finished. So he rang me and said, do I want it? And initially I didn't. This is in a million boxes, and we struck up a deal for £1,000, and I was like, well, I can't say no to that. So initially I spent a day over a couple of beers on a Sunday piecing it back together just to get that shot for an auction, and I fell in love with it. It needed quarter panels and sills and nothing left in it. Body was off the chassis. But yeah, since then we've had it on the road with small block Chev, big block Chev. But now it's time to step the game up and put a big juicy motor in it. We've got a few pieces for the new engine build already in place. In Scotland, a friend of mine, Kenny Gomez, is building the engine. We've got a bow tie block, big Brodix 2 heads, scat crank, Carrillo rods. But I think the fun part is we had a parcel turn up yesterday from the States, so let's see what we got. So we've got a brand new blower shop billet 871 Teflon stripped blower. Front snout, we're going to run dual carb, twin 850 DPs, crank pulley, you see the big nasty essential blower belt, idler, blower manifold for the big block Chev. I think they said it's 180 pounds, these bits and pieces, so we're hoping for 1500 horsepower. Time will tell. Had a just a carburetor big block Chev in it quite a while ago. We yanked that out, sold that, and now we're going to build my dream engine. Lots of work to do, but it's all in the name of fun, eh? Heading to Roger's little speed shop to pick up the new trans for the race car. So, there she is. What Roger's done is basically he's built us a turbo 400 manual valve body, reverse pattern trans brake, upgraded Vasco input shaft, and a whole lot of goodies inside. So it should be more than enough for what we're trying to do. So we're going to put the car up on some stands. We're going to rip all the rear suspension out of it, rear diff out of it, front coilovers out of it. Spoken to a company in America called Calvert, and they're going to supply all the suspension for it. One thing I forgot to add is we're going to run a set of Caltrack bars to the rear, which will stop axle tramp and wheel hop. So we're going to pull the rear leaf springs out, the rear shocks out, so we can get them measured up for the new system. We're also going to pull the diff out, pull the diff center out, because we're changing the gear set. 4-1 in the rear now, too short a gear for what we need, so we're going to change that to a 355. It's running a mini spool which locks the two axles together, so we get both the rear wheels driving. Change that to a full spool just for strength, and put a 3.5 gear ratio in it so that we can get the extra legs for the track. I think if we ran the 411, the car would probably run out of puff before the quarter mile. So we did a few calculations and we think 3.5 is the perfect gear. Right. 1. So what we're going to do with these are 28th line. They're not going to be strong enough for what we need. So we're going to have some new axles made and they'll be 35th line. So the idea of that is just for added strength so we don't twist those axles. That diff center out so that we can sell that and buy a new aluminium strain center. Bigger gears, bigger bearings, bearing support, just a heavier duty unit. Trying to get parts for some of these things from the States are like, they'll tell you a date but they just keep pushing it back month after month after month. So we're trying to source as much as we can locally, but unfortunately some of the things have to come from America, so not a lot we can do about that. Favourite tool. We're going to get into the back of the car now and try and pull the rear shocks out. Right, so we're going to pull the tank out now. It's just a factory tank. We're going to put a fuel cell in it and a big new fuel system to run this big motor. So yeah, pull the tank out, fuel pump out, pull the lines out and get it ready for the new bits. Right guys, so today we're heading up to GSM Motorsports. They do seats and harnesses and roll cages and all the rally and racing gear. They're going to fit us up for a seat. They're going to take all our measurements, get us into a decent seat, some harnesses for the car, and we're going to have a chat with them about safety gear and see what we need. Not being funny, but the seat's just so f***ing big, look.
Too big? Too big.
I don't like these.
What's too big about it?
These bits.
But you need them, don't you? If you've got the helmet on and stuff.
Not like that. It's just massive. Right, let me jump out. It's getting serious now, dear, with a seat like that. Jesus. I'm gonna have to call some people and see if we can get away without having those ears, because we are going to run the hands device, which straps your neck to the helmet anyway. But it's just a massive seat, so I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have a crack at bracing our Ford 9-inch. Instead of buying a new housing, because we need some strength in the rear end, we're going to try and brace it ourselves. Got some 100 by 50mm box action, 2.5mm thick I think it is. Yeah, we're going to draw up a pattern, cut it out, weld it on and see how she looks. Right, 1/8 second axle coming in hot. I did strap this thing down to the bench in various different positions, try and stop the warpage. I don't think it's moved a lot. We'll measure up, take some measurements. As you can probably all guess by now, we've changed the seats. We weren't happy with them. They were just overkill for what we were trying to do. Smaller seat, fits in the car better. Much happier with this decision. Right, so we're heading off to the steel shop now to pick up some material to modify these front shock towers. And someone forgot to strap the pipes on. Job done. How's that secure load on the back?
That's currently secure. And they're going. Oh, it's off. It's off.
Go past, you f***ing idiots.
Health and safety first, Chris. You're
Always.
I thought you were very health and safety.
I am. I did strap it down, but... So we've plasma cut the top mounts out of the car, and we're going to raise them 4 inches. So just going to do it old school, grinder, welder, get some pipe, cut some 100mm sections out, beat it around a bit with a hammer and weld them in the car and see what we can come up with. Come here. Right here, that thing's... Back in there like that, once that's all cleaned up. Right, so the wheels are on, 15 by 10s, 4-inch backspace, and surprisingly, they're going to work without any wheel tubbing at all. As you can see on the inside, loads of clearance to the inner spring, whereas it was touching before. I've just run a straight edge up the wheel to the inside of the arch, and we've still got about 10 to 15mm to play with. Our parcel's just turned up from Calvert in America. Let's get this thing unboxed, assembled and fitted up to the car. Little buggers installed. Still yet to weld the slider on the rear. What we had to do just over the back there was just to notch some holes in the top of the brace. You can see just over the top there we've had to obviously, well, we've braced the diff just to make a few cuts for the U-bolts to go through. But yeah. Right, so today we've jumped in the truck and we're off to a company called Cirque Motorsport to meet a friend of ours, Alex, who's going to sort us out with a set of Hoosier slicks. Race car stuff. This is going to get expensive. It's going to spend some money that we don't have. Right, so not only are we going to pick up some tyres today, but we've got a super long parts list. So Alex is going to run us through what he's got in stock and see what else he can help us out with.
Excited.
A bit nervous. You know, what do you do? It's got to be done.
So Autometer purchased Stack a few years ago. So again, for on the digital dash sides of things, you know, Stack's got a pretty good offering, and Autometer from that is opening their range of offering on the digital dash side. Yeah. Some guys prefer to have a gauge. They know where that needle's going to be, and that's what they need to see out of the corner of their eye.
I'm a big fan of, I mean, I've run Autometer for years, you know, 20 years, 25 years, but yeah, I'm not a digital guy. Like you said, just a quick glance, you know where that needle needs to be. Yeah. You know. You're
not trying to read numbers. Right, so the idea is that this is remotely mounted in your engine bay area.
Yeah.
You've got it hooked up with your oil. After your run, you can come on in. There's an air chuck here. Take that off, hit it with about 2 seconds of compressed air. This will be filled with oil. So when you put the air in, it'll displace any of the oil out of the window. Okay. And then you can see in the filter if there's any early warning signs of concern. And then if you see something that you don't like, you've got 4 bolts here. You can pull this cover off. You can remove the filter, have a good look at it. Everything looks okay. You can hit it with some brake clean, put it back in, tighten the bolts back up, and away you go. Yeah. So it's just more of an insurance policy for you to have any early warning signs of something's getting ready to let go. And then you can save that before it goes catastrophic. All different types of mesh for the filter itself. So depending on perhaps the weight of the oil that you're running, we'll size the screen appropriately to make sure that you've got adequate flow.
Yeah. 29 by 11s, so we wanted to max. We wanted to get as much tyre as we possibly can because our class says no bigger than 11.5, so that's an 11. So, because a lot of the other ones measured up at 9.5, 10.6. So, just have to try and squeeze the buggers under there now. But they're killer, dude. Look at the size of them.
They are huge, aren't they?
So we're going to head back to the shop. Grab the rims, head over to Chris's house. He's going to mount the tyres for us, stick them underneath the car, cut the wheel tubs out, Yeah, and make a new tub to suit the new slip. So these tyres were incredible. You know, we kind of figured that we'd struggle mounting these. Super soft, very easy to work with. You know, literally took us 10 minutes to throw these tyres on and pump them up. Really, really happy with the outcome. They're about £4,000 for a set of beadlocks. Don't have that money in the budget, so we're going to make our own. So we started out with a brand new set of 15 by 10 inch steel wheels. The offset on these was a 4 inch. We needed a 2 inch backspace on these, so we threw around ideas of what we could buy, what we could make. As I said earlier, $4,000 to buy a set, which is just crazy. So we bought some new wheels, we cut through all the welds, and we thought, how hard can this be to get these centres out? Absolute nightmare. I'd imagine these things are pressed in under heat. After a bit of banging, bit of heating, we managed to knock them out. So what we're doing here is we're just going to clean up the centres and the hoops, and then we're going to make a jig up on the bench and try and get these things pressed in square. Right, so we're just knocking the powder coat off the new wheels so we can get some welds on there. We ended up flipping the hoop around. As you can see, there's a step in the rim, so because we had to pull the wheel centre back so far, we didn't have the space and the clearances to weld to. So we flipped the hoop, dropped the centre in backwards, and tapped it all into place. 2.8, 2.8, closest we've had it. 2.79, 2.8, 2.79. Chuck them on the truck, go see Dave. So we're going to throw these things on the balancer, spin them up and see how they go.
That one's absolutely perfect now, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't ask for more than that.
All the zeros.
Backyard rim jobs. Right, so now the wheels are all balanced up and we're happy with those. We have to drill some holes for the rim screws. I bought some rim screws through Moroso, they're like 20 quid. Made a few little templates up, and you run 8 holes on either side. So you've got 16 screws straight into the bead, and obviously we staggered the inner and outer holes. And now that's all done, we're going to send them down to my mate Julian, and he's going to sandblast them and powder coat them for us. So while we're waiting for the wheels to come back from paint, we are carrying on with all the tin work in the back of the car for the new wheel tubs. Enormous job, much bigger than what we thought. We've probably got almost 2 weeks in this, to be fair. We've handmade every piece of sheet metal in the back of the car, but not bad for a couple of amateurs, I reckon. I'm pretty chuffed with how this has turned out, and you know, we've done it all ourselves, all in-house. Right, so we just got a phone call from Julian saying the wheels are ready, 24-hour turnaround, which is awesome. We're going to head over to Chris's place, and I'm sure he's going to whinge and moan about this, but he's going to fit these slicks up for us again. Yeah, he does.
How did he put all this on? Fuck, it costs more than the painting, doesn't it?
Rolls of it, mate.
Bloody hell. Oh, fucking arseholes.
Not bad. Right, so now we've got those tyres mounted, we're going to head back to the shop and we're going to install the rim screws and then fit them up to the car and see what they look like. still going to have to run probably a 1/2 inch spacer because the tyre is kissing the inside of the rail. Right, so we probably could have bought a set of wheel tubs and made life easy for ourselves, but we decided to have a crack at it on our own and build our own tubs. So we took some measurements, obviously, of the original tubs. They needed to be cosmetically right as well, so we had to modify them a little bit. So plasma torch out, drew some lines out, cut the plates out. We're going to throw the sheet metal through the bead roller, you know, just put some lines in it just to strengthen up the tubs. A lot more work than we first anticipated. We kind of figured we'd get a set of tubs done the weekend, but in all fairness, the first tub's taken us about 4 days to get it right.
Wheel tub city, bitches.
So, I can come around and wheel that one, can't I? So obviously we had to cut the factory spare wheel well out of the car for the suspension and the wheel tubs. So we have to make a little filler piece to cover that hole up. Yeah, got all the tubs in, got some new strengthening plates and everything in there, put some braces on the tubs back to the, you know, the tops of the seats where the sheet metal is. Had a wheel hole here for the spare tyre, so cut it out, just put a decent plate over the top of it, didn't go crazy, just got it all sealed up. It's obviously Christmas in a couple of days, so the car's going to go to Wayne at his shop for the cage, so we kind of feel like we're pretty much there for Wayne now, which is nice. We just have to get the car rolling. We're going to have to make up a strut for the front. If you have a look over here, we're trying to work out ride height now for the front end. We've mocked that front tyre up, just kind of where we want it, but I think it's a little bit lower. It's probably too low. I don't know if we're going to get the lift out of that we need, so we may have to come up a little bit higher because we want that car to squat and pull up at the front. So I think it's got quite a bit of work to do from where it's sitting now to where it needs to be to lift that front. So it may end up being about 2 inches taller than that. But what we're going to do is we're just going to make up a solid shock just out of a piece of pipe just to bolt it in so we can move the car around and get it to Wayne. Just going to take some measurements of the ride height and where we want it. Send the rear measurements over as well to Viking in the States, and they're going to make us our lovely coilovers and our adjustable shocks. They're going to be double adjustable, so they should work really well. I hope so, because they're costing about 1,500 quid. So hopefully we should have them back end of January, maybe beginning of Feb, and then the suspension's set. The suspension's done. We can move on to the next thing. We've just ordered a new fuel pump for it. We've got a 2,000 horsepower MagnaFlow 500 pump for it, billet pump for it, and we've ordered a painless wiring system for it, which bolts to the cage with all your switches on the top. So I just made a little bracket for the pump down here. It's rubber mounted. Finally got the battery tray sitting in, got a couple of battery cables mounted. Obviously one's going to go straight forward to the starter, and we have put a switch in the back of here. One out of the switch, straight at the starter, earth strap again, straight down through the floor of the car over there, running up alongside the chassis rail, straight to the block. Everyone does it differently, I suppose, but I kind of like to run one to the chassis and then, you know, back off the chassis straight up to the motor. That way I kind of figure it covers all bases. You got one ground to the chassis, and rather than one straight from the battery, straight to the engine. So we are going to get started to wire this thing up. The circuit's wired. So there we are. Ignition, pump, prime, we're good. Green light. How's your tart, Bob? Rich?
I didn't know you knew her.
I've been there. Right, so now it's time to give the exterior some attention after we welded in these wheel tubs and pump these rear quarters out. Rubbed all the imperfections out of the car, done a little bit of filler work. We're going to try and paint this car. We're going to take it down to the panel shop on Monday night. So we're going to hopefully get this thing in primer. It's looking pretty good for a 51-year-old car. Honestly, no rust repairs. I mean, I put quarter panels on it many years ago, but we pulled all the trims off thinking that we were going to open up Pandora's box. But look at the doors for a 70-year-old car. This is back to bare metal here. Absolutely brilliant, which is really nice. Makes light work for us. Should also add that we picked up a new fuel tank for it. I've just made up some little braces over the top, put some dimple dies in them. Tank's huge. I'm sure some of you guys out there will be like, what the fuck? But you got to remember it's a drag and drive car. Anything smaller, I think we're going to be stopping for fuel. I mean, this thing's going to drink some juice. Like we said, it's going to be 1500 horsepower plus. It's going to have Kenny step the carb size up now. He wants to run 210/50, so it's going to drink fuel like it's going out of style. That's a 16-gallon cell. I think it works out 83, 85 litres. Obviously being carbureted, most cars these days, you know, guys have two tunes, one for the street, one for the track, you know, and that's obviously because most of them are fuel injected. We don't have that luxury at the minute, so we're going to try and tune this thing for the track and hopefully get away with driving on the road like that. I'm not sure if that's even possible yet. Depends how aggressive and cranky this thing is.
All beers, boys. Woo!
Jim's in there getting stressed out. What Jim's doing here is he's just tacking it off. It's like a little rag, they call it a tack rag. It's kind of almost got some wax on it, I think. The roof and the back of the quarter is pretty damn straight. I mean, we blocked this thing, so it should be relatively straight. We put a guide coat on it, so got loads of bits back today, which is pretty exciting. I got the rear end back from Jeff at Hauser Racing. I was going to build this myself. I've built loads of these in the past, but considering this thing's like 1500 plus horsepower, Jeff does them all day, every day. So give me a killer deal. Oh, you motherfucker! Oh man, this thing's got to be fucking 50 kilos. There we go. Spent all my life working with a ramp or a hoist, and now at fucking 46, I'm crawling around the floor like a fucking homeless man. Our ride height is 15. Got the coilovers in, which is nice. So, yeah, they sit pretty well. Truck's in, diff's in for the final time. Just waiting on some brakes. here is a pair of Tony Morris carburetors from the States. They are hand-built, billet 1200 CFM twin blade carburetors. Tony has a UK main agent here, good friend of his, Dave Gibbons from Rough Diamond Racing. A pair of these guys did a phenomenal job, fantastic service, can't recommend them enough. They've put these carbs together for us, specifically for our build. So let's rewind a little, go and say g'day to Dave, and he's going to talk us through these carburetors. Look at those babies. They're pretty incredible, aren't they?
Yeah, and of course you've got the twin blade. So
Yeah.
one of the benefits of the twin blade is that we have these bridge boosters which have upper jets in rather than stake tubes. These normally fixed in a Holly carburetor, and they've got a stake tube that's driven in. So to change them you have to pull the stake tube out. These have got upper jets which you can change the size of the jet, but they also hold the booster in. There's different sizes.
Right.
That will change the CFM rating slightly. So,
Okay.
And the nice thing about the upper jets is you're not relying entirely on the main jets for your entire power range.
Okay.
So you can you can effectively set up the car from start line to mid track with the main jets, and then you can fine tune the big end
Right, okay.
with the upper jets.
Yeah. So let's move on to the interior while we're waiting on some parts for the engine. So once we started fitting up these door panels, you know, the interior was looking a bit scruffy initially, and we kind of thought it was going to stay that way, but it's starting to shape up all right. So what we've done is we have pulled off all the window frames, all the internal window frames, taken the chrome strip off them, sent them down to the powder coaters, and Julian has painted these in gloss black, which you will see shortly. Would you believe that that standard rear seat, without modifying, still sits in there with those wheel tubs? You couldn't ask for much more than that, could you? Look at that. Still sits in, ran out of rivets. But look at that. That's sitting in the two locating holes. Let's see if the top fits, eh? See if the back fits. Still fit with wheel tubs. Might get these retrimmed in black, not sure yet. I love the fact that this is original trim. So what we did here is we pulled all the window frames out of the car. They were silver. No, I just didn't think they looked right with the new alley door panel, so I had my mate Julian down the road sandblast all these, powder coat them in gloss black. They had a little chrome trim all the way along here, which is these big boys here. So we're going to clean those trims up, put these back on. I think we're going to have to put a headliner in this car because it's never had one since I've owned it, but the rest of the interior is starting to scrub up pretty nice now, so to take the car to a trimmer and get a nice black new headliner fitted. Right, got the trim all cleaned up. A couple of little clips on the back here, so we'll just straighten these out, push them through the holes, bend the tabs over. Bob's your uncle. So there you have it. Made a little shifter mount last night, turned out pretty cool. Put the trans brake button in the shifter. Didn't want it on the wheel. Well, I did want it on the wheel, but we couldn't find a bracket, and I kind of ummed and ahed for a long time as to how to put that in the steering wheel. And anyway, the shifter being as high as what it is, you know, kind of made sense to put the button in the top of the shifter. Got some new gauges, put a new speedo in it, put a new tack in it, which is a recoil one. It's nice. I just pulled the original gauges out, and these things push in so tight. You don't even have to glue them or pin them or anything. Right, so the car's been up at Wayne's place for the last couple of weeks having a roll cage fitted, and see how it looks. Exciting stuff. Oh my god, dude. No way. Dude, look at this. Look at those bars, Wayne. Jesus, man. That's nice tight fit, isn't it? You killed it.
For an 850 carriage, it's pretty extensive. I mean, it's super strong, it's all chromoly, it's all TIG welded. It's got sill bars, seat bars. It's massively strong.
Dude, you've absolutely murdered this. Dude! My god. Look at that bars through there. Look at that, dude. God, that fits nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's nice and tight.
This is insane.
Which makes it harder to weld.
Yeah.
You have to weld a lot of it before actually put it in.
Seat rails. Look at those. We're going to try and fit this hood scoop, considering the engine and the blower on the cars will protrude through the bonnet. I want to try and run a cover over the top of it. So if we can mould this thing into the existing lines of the bonnet, I think it could look pretty killer. Right, so while we're waiting for that fiberglass to cure, let's pull out the MIG welder and try and weld all these plates into the floor pans of the car. Now, the floor pans weren't amazing. They've had repairs over the years, but I was really surprised. I turned the heat up on this torch and I really got to burn this thing into the floor pan, so it turned out really well. Here we go, we've got to try and weld up all these plates. Playing around at a time. Not welding too bad, to be fair. Getting some good penetration. They're getting there. So this box here of Dyno, this tells us, I think it says 36 square feet. So, well, look at that. We've got 9 sheets. I don't know, I think they're supposed to be 450 by 850 or something. So let's hope this gets the car done. Looks sick, man. So glad it's black. Stick one in the car and have a look, eh? Let's get on with it. So, for any of you that have fitted this Dyno before, you realise how much of a laborious job this is. I kind of thought this was going to be a pretty quick process, but, you know, to get it to look really nice and fit well around all the cage and all the floor mouldings, it did really take us sort of 6 or 7 hours. So yeah, really happy with the end result. We plan on leaving this as the finish on the floor. We're just going to run a couple of mats on the inside of the car. But yeah, it turned out killer, brightens up the car. I love it. We're going to unpack this chute, get the plate out the back of it, put this in the centre of the plate, mark the holes out, drill them, repack the chute. This car used to have a tow bar on it. We cut the tow bar off many years ago. We left the crossbar across the back here. So what we're going to do, if you look up here, there's the hole for the chute mount. So I'm going to come off here with a piece of square tube, straight off the top there. We're going to mount the tube straight to that, I suppose. Don't know if we're going to put the clevis pin on the back of this bar for the chute itself, or whether we're going to go somewhere off the back of the rear end here. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Right, so that's what we're working with. We're going to weld this tube straight to that cross section there. Got it all squared up through that hole out the back. It's only there to support the chute. A lot of guys literally use a piece of 1-inch tube. Obviously the chute is attached to a big clevis on the chassis rail or off the back of the diff. This is just to support the chute. Welded all the way around. Top, bottom, can't see that. It's all welded. Drilled the holes, welded the plate on. Pretty happy with the position of the where the chute's going to sit in the car. I haven't fitted one of these before, so let's hope she works, eh? It's a bit hot, but I ain't going anywhere, man. Wicked. Put this other bar just in here for the parachute release. Super strong. Got that welded in down there. So this is my favourite part of the day. The grill's come back. Check that thing out. It's going to make this car pop. I'm going to stick it on the car, see what she looks like.
Right, so call me mad, but I always wanted a stereo in this car. Something that you would have had back in the day. We always had 7x10s, big amp and a CD player, and they pumped. The nice thing is, a friend of mine passed away last year, Barry, he was 84. He gave me these speakers, so I wanted them in the car.
Just go chuck her in the car, see if she fits.
So stoked with the way this stereo sounds, it bangs harder than Craig's sister.
I shoot for like 2.5 to 3.5.
Yeah.
And on the mains I shoot for 3.5.
Right, you guessed it. That's the engine. Let's hit the dyno.
What's the guy getting?
Right guys, so we are finally here at Easy 8 at the dyno shop. So first fire up, all is good, loads of oil pressure. Just going to warm this thing up, but Jesus Christ, this thing's snappy. This is only 3% overdriven, so this is baby boost. We're just going to run it in. This is only on unleaded as well, so this isn't race gas, this is no boost, this is nothing. Well, here we are guys, back in the land of the living after a weekend of torturous and laborious work. She survived. Got her off the dyno. And to answer everybody's question, what did she make? Well, to take into consideration, the dyno would only hold 1,000 foot-pound of torque. On the first run, this thing made well in excess of 1,000 foot-pound of torque. I really wanted to throw some more boost in this and some more timing in this, but basically on the first baby tune, just to make it safe, it made 950 horsepower and well in excess of 1,000 foot-pound of torque. Right guys, so today is the day we're going to shove this fire-breathing monster into this bad boy right here. It's an absolute mission, this thing. Car's going for an exhaust tomorrow. I thought I'd better try and jot down some ideas, you know, some sort of little drawing as to what I want. Stupidly, I saw a historic AC Cobra race car a couple of years back at a show and it had a 427 in it. The exhaust system was like nothing else you've ever seen before, but this is what I've come up with. I want to try and make this thing as industrial as I can. The look I kind of want to go for is, you said tough street car, you know, definitely back in Australia. Some of the exhaust, man, I mean, you can hang these things above your fireplace, they look killer. So I want to try and make an exhaust system that will go on under a car, but have it on the outside of the car, if that makes any sense. I don't want just a straight tube side pipe, so this is what I've come up with. Start off with a V-band clamp here coming out the side of the front guard, so that we can take the side pipes off and just put a bullhorn on for racing. I'm kind of thinking if I have a resonator in the front and a muffler in the rear, it just breaks up that boring cylindrical shape of the side pipe. This is one
there. 45 will carry on and then we'll slash it there.
Yeah, I really like that. That blends so well. Look at that, dude. It just doesn't do it justice in pictures, does it? The sheer size. My God, dude. Are absolutely amazing. Today's a really exciting day. We've had the call from the exhaust shop. Pete's all done, all the fabrication's complete. We're going to jump in the truck, hit the road, and go and pick the bad boy up. You all right, Pete? Dude, they are massive, man. Massive. Yeah, that's fine, but I think at least now that you've got those things in, I can do it. But
yeah, a couple of Bosch wide bands.
Right, guys, finally picked up the big boy. This is Pete from PTR Exhaust over here in Brackley in the UK. He's just built us. I don't even know how to put it. It's mental. It's insane, isn't it? It's just insane. You must be happy with it, are you?
I think it's awesome. I love it.
Because I know I was so picky with this. And I know I was, but I just kind of, that was the whole thing with the car. I just wanted to make everything look.
It can definitely ruin it, can't it?
100%.
Can definitely make it or break it.
100%. Check out these things, man. What an absolute wonder. Right, here we go. What an absolute nightmare these pipes were to do. I ended up doing them from underneath. The ARP bolts that were supplied ended up being a little too short. A friend of mine actually laser cut these header plates a little bit thicker than usual. The reason for that is because the ones supplied, they weren't perfectly port matched. So he drew them up on CAD, squared them all up, made them absolutely perfect. But obviously I had to pull all these things out again and change all these for some cap screws because they were an absolute nightmare to get in here. We're going to get the starter motor in the car. Got the oil pressure gauge in, which we're waiting on some fittings for. We're going to throw some fuel in this thing and we're going to fire it up. So stay tuned. So here she is, guys. This big Power Master bad boy here is an absolute Trojan. This is a 3.4 horsepower high torque mini starter. This is the biggest one I could find. This is capable of turning over engines with a compression ratio of 18:1. And like I said, 3.4 horsepower. The one we had in the car initially was 1.9. So this thing should have no problems turning that big motor over in that blower. So let's get it in the car and wire it up and see if we can kick it in the guts. Listen to that thing. Jesus Christ, man. I want to run it for longer. I want to give it a couple of blips. So there we have it, guys. One very, very happy boy here. Finally, after all this time, got the car fired up. Just sounds absolutely incredible. Right guys, so Saturday night here, I'm going to unbox all this wheelie bar kit and try and make some sort of sense of it and see if we can start to piece it together. So this is basically what we're dealing with. This is the lower half or the bottom half of the wheelie bars. It's just incredible, this thing. Absolutely nuts. We've got all these lovely little joints here. You don't weld these, apparently. Obviously, you weld your bars to these tubes. They don't slide, but they give the bar a bit of give. What an absolute weapon. Oh God, I love those things. Woo! Right guys, so our little tranny cooler just turned up. It's a tranny cooler and an engine cooler in one. It's a Durali, it's got a fan on the top. So we're just gonna make a little bracket up for this and we're gonna slap it under the front of the car and start to plumb it up. There we are. Right, so let's get back to these wheelie bars and see if we can get these things mounted and finished up.
After 2 years of blood, sweat and tears, we finally did it. I now have my dream car with my dream engine that we're ready to take to the track. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and don't miss the next episode where we hit the track and see what this thing is capable of.